Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We've got the code LUNA10 at lunamoonsupyoga.com. That's lunamoon stand-up paddleboard yoga.com. That's what SUP stands for. And use your code. We've got beanies from light gray all the way to a bright blue, long sleeve shirts, 2 different styles, and of course, a lotion bar combo with a lip balm. These are all handmade, vegan. You don't have to be a vegan to use them. We're just using all natural ingredients and being mindful of what we put on our skin. And we've got 2 new flavors this week, tangerine and limeade. They're in metal tins. And we still got some of the plastic tubes available as well. Go there, shop, check out the retail page. Thanks, guys. Oh, it's another episode of Wave On, and I've got a good friend of mine from yoga, and we share a lot of passions with the water, Great Lakes. And what's really cool is that she owns a brand, or she's co-owner with BomDia Threads. And it's very awesome because they have a strong passion for the Great Lakes, but also just sharing the sport of surfing, being on the water, and they have a high vision of helping like future people, young people that would be wanting to be a part of that. So I will have her on today, and I want to thank her for being here. Thank you, Lindsey, for being here, and you're going to share some awesome stories of being outdoorsy and just your vision of with BomDia. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that intro. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked you to be on, well, for a few reasons. It doesn't always have to be about us, having the same exact passions. I always kind of kick off the podcast with that too in mind, that a lot of times, it's an inspirational message or just something for people out there listening that might connect to, or just, stories of being outdoors or something that happened. I mean, I always say that when you get on the water and you start paddleboarding, there's always some cool stories that start to happen. So it's more than just paddleboarding. It's also that connection.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're passionate about many things. I think that anything outdoors I've tried or wanted to try, and I've been that way my whole life. I grew up skiing. I switched to snowboarding when I was 15. Just like in Michigan, going to the local ski hills. And our whole family skied, so we did that a lot. And then I found yoga in like 2012. I would go to class occasionally, and I really began to deepen my practice in 2012 when I saw a flyer for like find your purpose and all that, like the yoga lifestyle, learn about it, like learn how to, find your center and stuff. And at that time, it's something that I really needed. And it wasn't like super popular yet. Yoga Girl wasn't Yoga Girl at the time. And
Sure.
no one I knew did yoga. So it just spoke to me. It was like, oh my God, this is how I feel. I didn't know how to talk about it. Nobody was talking about that stuff. Something how I felt inside. And I really felt alone. So seeing that, it felt like, oh my God, other people feel the same. And so I did a yoga teacher training. It was like half learn about lifestyle, half learn about teaching, and never intending to teach, finished the training, got certified, and really learned all about yoga, how it's more than just the pose. You know this.
Sure.
I'm sure you have a similar story. A lot of yogis do.
Yeah,
and
actually, I do.
It's so cliche and it's so funny, but it's like so true. Like, I feel bad almost for people nowadays who hear about yoga because it's so like overplayed, and like people are like shouting from the rooftops, yoga, yoga, yoga. And I'm like, okay, now you're like preachy and turning people off from it. And it's becoming too like cliche. So I'm really grateful that I found it when I did. Nobody pushed it on me, and like nobody, like I found it on my own. I really feel that way. So, and I've always stuck with it. And really, I think it'll hopefully be a part of me forever. So with that being said, Dustin, my partner, he grew up in Florida, and he's a surfer. So he grew up bodyboarding. He moved to Michigan when he was in high school. His dad was like a big time surfer in Florida, really well known in the area. And so he moved to Michigan and then started surfing the Great Lakes, which I had never heard about. And I'm sure a lot of people still don't.
Oh, yeah.
It's just now becoming popular. And so when I met him, he introduced me to surfing in the water. And the water is a funny thing because I grew up laying on the beach, which I wasn't like, oh, let's go in the water and play in the waves type. I just never did. Maybe our waves, when we would go to the lake, it'd be in summer and there really were no waves. So he introduced me to a new way of like looking at the water and really being in tune with like the waves and learning how to feel comfortable. It's still scary. It's scary as fuck sometimes.
Oh, sure.
When the waves are big and they're like, it's generally cold out during surf or during, when there's waves to surf. Or it's bad weather, it's rainy, especially on the lakes, there's like a storm coming. That's when everyone goes out and surfs.
Yep.
Obviously, as a beach goer, we're not going to the beach that day. So it was like a whole new way of looking at it and like being thrown around out there. Like when you're learning, it's hard. They make it look easy. So yeah, and it's funny because the yoga practice comes in then.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there and you see like a wave towering over you, it's, probably chest high and like you're paddling out and it's building. It's scary. So the yoga kind of helps. I mean, I don't go out in massive waves, but if you do get held down, then you have to just be calm and know that you're going to come back up and it's going to be maybe 5 seconds. But it feels like 30 and you get tossed around.
Sure.
And, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's fun. Yeah, surfing has been a different journey, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
And learning to do something again too, or become pretty good at other things. So being a beginner again is, kind of something different. And
yeah, it is what you just said, fascinating how they kind of like commingle together, and and yoga that can be applied in many challenging things, but definitely when you're trying to learn something new or just something unexpected happens, because I know I love to watch surfing those guys that surf the big waves, because it's just fascinating. It's like, wow, look how big that wave is, like Jaws out in Hawaii. It's like crazy, but I love to watch it. I don't strive to do that really, but it's just a whole nother level.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like I always was into it. Like I grew up and I'm like, I'm going to get a Jeep. I'm going to get a surfboard. I'm going to move to California and surf.
Yeah.
I didn't move to California, but I pretty much did everything else. And then when I learned that you could surf here, I was like, okay, I'm not moving.
Right.
Like I'm good. We have snowboarding here. We have the lakes here. We have the woods. I don't need to go anywhere else. So it's been like, things have come true. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. And somehow you have tell the story of how you've kind of put this together with your brand, and not just being the clothing, the apparel looks amazing. Like I always love the hats and the photos that you guys do. They're really creative and very thought out. So just tell us about how did you come up with this brand and, putting all these things together with surfing in the water?
Sure. Yeah. So Dustin and I were just bored one day. And I think at the time, so we created it, I think it was like early 2018 or something. And we were like talking, I think Michigan brands were kind of becoming popular, just Michigan made and all that. And there really wasn't like an outdoorsy adventure type brand. I think people were trying to go there, but they were really focusing on like the woods and stuff like that. So we were like, all right, well, we surf, I do yoga, like let's do like a surf and yoga brand, like kind of like beachy, like lifestyle brand, which didn't really exist. So Dustin actually, he kind of had like this passion of creating clothing on his own. Like growing up, he created designs and like his mom would sew them. Like he has sweatshirts that his mom made him, and he has like his own ideas for how it could be restructured, like pockets and stuff like that. And his mom would do it for him. And me, on the other hand, went to school for digital media. So I was involved with making websites, graphic design and stuff. That was my living. That is my living still, for income. And so I had like this, I'm like, I can do this. Like I can make cool designs. Like I know I can make better designs, or just as good of designs that are out there, and gear it towards what we want it to be. Mm-hmm. So we just like did it, and we started small, just, you know, with regular plain t-shirts. We quickly learned that what to do and not to do, and what's popular and what's not popular. But it takes trial and error too for us, because we thought that we were gonna like, you know, sell out our first batch that we ordered, and then we realized that, you know, it's a journey and it's a slow moving train, that you know, things work and things don't work, and it's a whole new industry for us. So it's definitely a small business still, and our goals have developed as we've gone along. Like it started off as just like doing rad designs, which we still like want to do, and like still, and eventually like create our own construction of clothing, in an ethical way too. So like that's something that we're really passionate for, is being eco-conscious, which is a word that gets thrown around, and it's really hard to actually do, because anything that's produced is, you know, somewhat not friendly to the environment. Yeah. You know, because you're producing it in a factory or something.
Right.
So we always say as much as we can. We choose clothing that's like 100% cotton. If we can, organic is best, but it's always not like available, or sometimes even the quality is not there. We've spent we spend time sampling a lot of stuff before we put it out, just to make sure it's the best, because we've gotten burned. We've bought an organic cotton, and then we get it and it's like wrinkly. It's like always wrinkly and like a weird, like scratchy material. And we're like, we can't give that, you know, people aren't going to like that. So
right. Yeah,
it's a lot of like we spend a lot of our time and energy on that. And then also we don't print like a lot of stuff. So a lot of companies will do this fancy packaging and have like a lot of plastic and paper and stuff like that, tags and all that. And we actually, like, in the very beginning, like, we wanted to do a lot of that stuff. And I was like, no, that like goes against what we're trying to do. Like, why print a tag? Or I think it was like, we wanted to do like postcards. Mm-hmm. And I still do, but we're trying to find the right way to do it. You know, not just like putting a piece of paper that people are going to throw out. Like, we've recently started reusing our own paper bags, and then like printing on, like cutting out like 11 by 8.5 by 11 square and printing on paper bags. So like that's kind of how I'm evolving with that, and trying to be more like, you know, we want to elevate it so it looks high end. So we don't want to just throw stuff in a bag. So right. We're trying to find ways to make it eco-friendly, but then also have like our branding and packaging in line with our mission. So yeah, when you see brands out there that have all this cool stuff and like this cool packaging or a box and everything, I mean, that's all being produced somewhere.
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot to think about. I mean, yeah, I can definitely share stories about that on my side too. But very different, but it is what you want to put out there. So when you're trying to be eco-conscious and, you know, do all these things, but there's still a packaging thing and the delivery and appearance. You know, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to go in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to be, and it's always a daily like thought. Okay, we want to do this, but we also want to be eco-friendly as much as we can. So then we end up not doing it a lot of times.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot, but I admire your, your brand, your apparel, your photos. I mean, photos are another thing too, even just setting up the shot to sell the story, right?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time on that. It's something I'm passionate for. I love photography.
Hmm.
I'd like to do it more. So like I do all the photography. Um, we do spend a lot of time like finding people. It's funny, girls really like to do photography for the men. Like any guys out there that want to be a model, you don't have to be like, good, great look. You don't have to be like a real model.
Right.
But yeah, we're looking for all types of people, and people are shy, like they don't think they're a model, but they are. They can be.
I know it's so hard. I like even my stuff. I just model it myself because it's so hard to find, and yeah. But anyway, um,
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that too, and I still do with myself, but I'm like the same way though. I'm like, oh, I hate
you want someone
I'm not a
else. Yeah,
model.
I want some more people involved here. It's not all about me,
Yeah, too.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't be the only one in the pictures.
Right? Yeah, every picture, um,
Hmm.
so but you do have a mission. I mean, even a farther mission, maybe down the road that you kind of shared with me just a little bit. Why don't you take us through that? Because that's very interesting, and I think that becomes more of the depth of the brand, and that's very cool.
Yeah, so we found recently that we're ski and snowboarders, we've attracted them, and there's a lot of them in Michigan, and they're awesome. They are so talented, and a lot of them travel outside, go to the Rockies or wherever to practice, and they live in Michigan. They're from here, and they also go to like local ski hills, and they're out there practicing all the time, doing amazing things. So a lot of them have dreams of competing or being recognized for their athleticism, and we've found that we love helping them in any way we can, getting them noticed. Hopefully one day like support them financially in some way. Like we already have like thoughts of like doing season passes soon, just for like specific people like that maybe like needs it, or um, like maybe that we really think might do well, or even doing some kind of like nonprofit type way of doing it, possibly. I don't know. But yeah, like supporting young athletes that are from Michigan is something that is what we really love to do. And we don't really see a lot of other people doing that. I think a lot of people are doing it more so now on a smaller scale. But we definitely like spirit, like we're like driving it hard. We're starting, people are wanting it and reaching out, and we're like, like give it, maybe next year, because we just don't have like the funds or the clothing to really give away that much. But that's the goal, is to help as many kids that we can fulfill their dreams.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and like from Michigan, because or the area. It doesn't have to be from Michigan, but the Midwest area, like not the kids that, like there's so many amazing people in competition out west.
Yeah, right. No, they're because
So
they're
yeah.
they're like in it all the time. They're surrounded
Yeah.
by all of that. Where yeah, it becomes a little bit of a struggle here. You have
Yeah.
travel costs and stuff like that to get to those places.
Totally. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so I get it for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about like work life balance. Sounds like you got like a lot, a lot of vision, a lot of passion, but you also have, I guess this is sort of the entrepreneurial message in here that, you still have to work and, fund these things to keep it going. And like you said, still being a small business, I can relate.
Yeah, it's we're just doing it. Everything we make goes back into the brand and the business. So we both have to work full time. Maybe eventually we won't. But yeah, it's, we have so many ideas that we have to almost hold back on because we have jobs. We're also tired, and then we also like to have fun ourselves. So we're not always work, work, work. And so we have to, like, we find the time when we can and we work on it. And that's why it's a slow train for us. Like, yeah, I don't know the right answer with that. Like, some people just go head in first and quit their jobs and do this thing. We didn't feel comfortable doing that. So
I think
yeah,
that is a
for
hard
us,
choice
we're
for
just
a lot
taking
of
it
people.
slow. Huh?
Yeah, I think that's the key right there. What you just said, it's a hard choice, and how do you decide when to pull the cord and, okay, I do this, full time.
Right.
Would you say it's a little bit of a trust thing that you know that this is going to keep going and evolving, and if you put whole heart into it, that it would grow more,
Yeah.
but it's a risk.
Yeah. It is a risk, and I think when the time is right, I think we'll know it, and
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe soon,
Maybe a little
maybe
bit
next year,
of an
maybe this year.
intuition choice.
Put it out in the universe.
There you go. Yeah, awesome. Well, I know I saw some pictures you had. There was a van life in there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm always intrigued by that, van life. And I've talked about this actually in a couple other podcast episodes. And I think what intrigues me, anyways. I mean, you share your side, but I think it's the photography, and then just being out in the open road and go somewhere, whether you do hit the beach or you're just more like desert Moab type scenery, and get to camp and just to have your own little space, but you have your van all decked out with this stuff and just toys, boards, like I said, I like to fly a drone. So I think of that as the awesome place to fly a drone, 'cause there's no electrical wires or anything like that. But what's your take on van life? I know you kind of said you were just getting started, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Same thing. Like, I think I started like following people that were doing it, and watching like YouTube videos really inspired me. And I think I mentioned it, and then Dustin was like, nah. But then he was like, let's get a van. I'm going to get a van. We're going to get an Astro. Everyone gets a Sprinter. So we got our van because we do things on the cheap then. So that means we can go more often and not have to pay for hotels. So that's our van life. And I'm kind of letting out the secret there a little bit. But that's our way of being able to pretty much do whatever we want.
Yeah, a lot of
The
freedom.
freedom.
The freedom, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and we just finished it. It's pretty much finished, but it took us a while because we work and do BomDia, and then we had to work on a van. So, and like learn all this stuff. We're not like carpenters or anything like that. So we just finished it and took it on our first trip to Florida, and we slept in it, and it's pretty cool. It's a little tight, but it's like totally fine for sleeping in and just like traveling. Like, and I think like it was never meant to be for us a like a long-term thing. Like, we don't plan on living in it and like traveling like for a long time. Like, it's more like a total like weekend thing,
Sure.
like 3 or 4 nights, like going up north. We're going to use it skiing. We're going to hopefully park it in, like somewhere where we can like, stay for free and then ski, and then in the summer camp. And like, we like to go to the UP a lot. So yeah, it'll be cool. Like, to, we surf a lot too. I mean, that was the main thing, actually.
Sure.
Forgot about that. So we surf almost every weekend when it's surf season. We'll go to whatever lake is like the waves are. So like, we live in like Metro Detroit, so we'll go to Lake Huron, Lexington area, And that's not like a bad drive, but like when we're going to Lake Michigan, that's a 3-hour drive.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's hard to do. We were doing that in one day. We would drive out there, surf, and drive home.
Wow.
A lot.
Wow.
Yeah, we did that a lot. Dustin would go on his own a lot because I would either have commitments or something.
Wow.
So the van became like, it just makes it a little bit easier to do and like, just stay one night and come home. And because otherwise you're spending $100 in a hotel room every weekend. It just adds up. So
yeah. Does it have a little kitchenette, a little refrigerator and stuff?
No.
Like that? No.
No, like we kind of don't get the whole kitchen thing. Like if we were living in it,
yeah, bigger trips.
Totally, but we're not living in it. We're not doing dishes in here. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't need running water.
Yeah,
it's just bare minimum, like a bed, cooler for like food and drink, and then we are trying to figure out a heater situation because that's tricky.
Yes.
We have a buddy heater, but it lets off like a wet heat, so it like really gets like things wet inside. And I don't know. I think we're just kind of weirded out with being like a flame right there. So we're looking into installing a diesel heater, which we've heard works really well, and you don't have to use a lot of gas. But we tried doing we got a Jackery, which is like a portable charge station, like I don't know what they call it. Like a portable generator type thing, electric generator.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah. That's cool. So we got that, and unfortunately, like we thought we were gonna be able to get like a really small space heater, and it like ran for an hour because we were driving to Florida and we had to stop in Ohio, and it ran for an hour at night and then died. And we're like, like that, we spent so much money on this Jackery. They're not cheap.
Wow.
And we're like, okay, well, I guess we bought this Jackery just to charge our phones, like $1,000 Jackery. Here we go for a little. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure we'll use it for something else, but.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it becomes about experience, and especially with the products and stuff that you end up buying. And some of those YouTube videos, they do a lot of that where they show the product and this one worked better than that one, or they're just that's where you kind of we've been doing the same thing, actually, watching a lot of YouTube videos and getting inspired about like just product, and how people are doing it.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna get a van?
Actually, I don't know if it's gonna be a van, more or less. I think it's gonna be like a teardrop or something. So we can take the dog and have her along for the ride and pretty much do like what you're saying. I mean, even if we just go up north and snowboard and stuff like that, then we'll have like a little place to stay.
Yeah, that's cool. I like those. I thought about that too.
Yeah, we've
that was like a pop-up even I thought about. But yeah, the vans or the teardrop's much smaller. You don't have to worry about popping it up, which can be a pain.
Yeah, it's we've been really looking at multifunction, whether it's with the boards and being able to stay somewhere in probably cold and heating, so you can use it both seasons. So yeah, that's what we've been doing in quarantine.
Awesome.
Life.
That's exciting. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But it's really interesting because actually the last podcast episode, she was talking about some surfing because we shared some Great Lakes stories too, and Lake Huron side, but she's in Canada, so probably straight across from either East Tawas or what's the other one? Sandusky, maybe.
Kincardine, probably.
Probably, yeah. One of those areas. If you went straight across, then that's where her little place was that she was doing some surfing over the summer, which looked really fun. I was kind of jealous. I wanted to go.
Yeah, we used to go to Canada a lot, and we're really like bummed that we can't right now because they have really good waves in certain areas and way better than our side of Huron. their side of Huron seems to be much better. More, they just get more waves. Same with like Lake Erie. We used to go into Canada and surf Lake Erie a lot. So we've had to like go to Cleveland. Or the West, Lake Michigan is
definitely
where it's at too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's cool. I'll have to like look her up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's kind of this is a networking tool as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, so what other kind of like outdoorsy? I think you had like a hiking story that you were that you had embarked on, and it was a big adventure.
Yeah, when I can't remember if it was before I think it was just like right after my yoga training. It was. So in like 2015, I don't know, for like a year, I'd been like wanting to do something. I was single. I was like lived alone. I don't have kids. So it's like, I just felt like I'm at an age and point where I really want to do something in my life before I meet somebody or, the next phase of my life begins. So I've been thinking about it for a while. And I remember watching this movie years ago called The Way. And I always went back to it because I think that was like the first movie I watched where I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. It was about hiking the Camino de Santiago, which is in Spain. It's all the way from, you can really start it from wherever, but the common route begins in France, and then you walk all of northern Spain to the coast. And it's 500 miles, and lots of people do it. It's a pilgrimage, and it was like a pagan thing that turned into a Christian thing. But I just did it because it was, it's generally safe. And you could sleep in hostels along the way. I didn't have to worry about bringing like a tent or my own food even. Mm-hmm. So I decided to do that and just went for it and did it solo and hiked the whole thing on foot. So I didn't get into a car. For like 32 days.
Wow. And you did this alone?
And this is like 12 to 14 miles, maybe more, 17 miles. No, I like get confused with kilometers and miles. Like 17 to 20 something kilometers, whatever miles that is, like 11 maybe or more. I don't know.
I'm getting better at that too, figuring that out. So,
but yeah, like 17 to 22 kilometers a day, which is a lot. And it was really hard. It was harder than I thought. Nothing can compare you or prepare you for that. Like I would hike around. I think I started to get into hiking, and I would hike around Michigan on my own. I would just go to all the different hikes and I would hike them. And I had this dream of like writing like about my hikes and stuff like that, or writing like a book about hikes in Michigan. But there already is one, but just in my own way.
There's one for Michigan?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, it's like 50 hikes in Michigan. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in my own way, like I would blog about it because I started a blog called Whimseeker that I still like write in, and I wrote about my Camino, which was the big hike, and so the blog is just always there, and it'll always probably be there, and it's when I feel inspired to write in it. It's not something that I don't think I ever like really went hard on. It was always a passion thing, and just if there was somebody that I felt like I wanted to interview or talk with, and it was general people, like I've interviewed like the owner of an elderly home that she ran out of her house, like just random people that were like inspiring to me, that weren't trying to like be famous or something, like. Sure. And it was just truly a from the heart to heart discussion. And so, that's what that project is. And I think will always be. So it's just always there. And when the time is right, I, writing it.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, definitely keep it for sure. You said it was
Yeah,
Whimseeker. That's your Instagram name, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Whimseeker.com. Yep. So yeah, there's that in there. There's a lot going on, but the hike was probably like the biggest thing that I've done on my own too, and it was the first time I traveled out of US or Canada or Mexico. You know, it was pretty much crossing over to Europe.
And you did it
And it was,
alone, right? Yeah,
yeah,
you
it
did it
was
alone.
solo, and
Nice.
yeah, lot of time to myself and meeting random people. And I have so many stories for that.
I
Like
bet.
I could talk about that for a long time. Yeah,
What's something that
really
stands
cool
out the
stories.
most though? Something that stands out the
Huh?
most.
Um,
Someone you met or you saw or
I think the most touching, or like there was couple moments, but there was one day when, oh, there's so many stories. It's hard to pick, but I'll just pick one. I had met a group, and we stopped at a place, and it was a lot of like these hostels are run by nuns or church priests, or they're monasteries, I guess. And so this one was run by nuns, and uh, they were like, "Oh, come to the church at 7 p.m. That we're doing a sing along." So we all went there, and it was, it's people from all over the world. A lot of people from Korea, Russia, like the US, Canada, Australia, tons of different people, Holland, all in a room. And the nuns led a song where they handed out music in all of our languages, and we all sang like these songs together in this room. And it was like the most beautiful moment ever, because it was like, the nuns were like, this is our universal language as music. And even though we're all from all these different countries and we speak these different languages, we can communicate and connect through music. So we were just, and there was a small group, and it was just like, she's like, no pictures, no phones. This is just for us,
oh
and that
wow.
was really cool.
Neat.
So I'll always have that moment with me. And this guy had a guitar, and she was like, play your guitar, play your guitar. And he's like, I know what to play. She's like, hallelujah. And this lady is from Spain, and I think she speaks more Spanish than English, the nun
Yeah.
who was leading it. And she like knew that song. You know that
Amazing.
song
Yeah.
by Jeff Buckley, Hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So he started playing it, and she started singing it, and it was just like all of us were like the tears,
Wow.
and she had this beautiful voice. And it was just like such a spur of the moment thing that happened, and like not planned. And it just worked out where they knew the song. And then we all started singing, hallelujah in all of our languages, the parts
Yeah.
that we knew.
Yeah.
It was just
I can
a
picture this.
beautiful moment.
I'm envisioning this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was intense. And just like the power of us. It was really beautiful. And there's so many moments. There's so many moments. There's so many people that just are there to help you. And it's all donation based. So like I would come across somebody that was like, I don't know why. They lived on the trail, and they would
Yeah.
just like this one guy like would just hand out free fruit, and like for donation, like for people that are walking,
Yeah.
like to help us.
Right.
Everyone wanted to help. Like that's like the spirit of it. Like everyone wanted to help us walking, because it was like our pilgrimage, and it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So like everybody was there along the way to help me,
Yeah.
and it was really, really, really cool. And
Yeah.
one day when I came home, or stopped for the day, it was a bad day for me. Like it was just a long day. I was so tired, and like I just started crying like when I got to the monastery, and the priest or whoever he was just like tranquille, tranquille, and he like handed me a watermelon to eat, and I'm like crying eating the watermelon, like thank you so much. Like I needed a hug, like I needed this watermelon because I was so dehydrated.
Oh
I almost,
yeah.
yeah, it was just amazing people.
That's so cool. Yeah. What a
Yeah,
sabbatical.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you'll
for real.
remember that forever. And I mean, how cool, to come across like stories like that that, you know, then you might find that something reminds you of that again later. You think of that, and, you know, it's like that special piece that comes back to you, you know? That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. And when you meet somebody that, like, I'd met someone recently who'd done it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never met anyone that, or even heard of it. Like, no, not a lot of people do. I mean, I think it's more and more popular now. Well, maybe not now, but it was becoming more popular. But yeah, I'd met someone last year or 2 years ago that had done it. And I was like, no way. Like, forever, we're like Camino buddies.
Really?
We both had like tattoos on us of like the symbols and stuff. And we're like, because like, you know, how hard and like how, I'm sure that's how it is when people hike other, you know, big trails, but like, it's just, you know, like she knew the places and like the, you know, the major cities and some of the like hostels, you know, you just remember that stuff, like the memorable ones. And it's really cool when you find someone else that has done it, but yeah, you don't want, you know, you still want it to be special. So
yeah.
It's cool.
Name, what's the name of it again? Can you name it again?
Camino de Santiago.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's very interesting. It sounds, actually, because I like to follow, and I was reading the book actually a while ago, the Appalachian Trail, to hike that, and then the one out in the Pacific. There was the movie and the book. I forgot the name of it actually.
Wild.
Yes, Wild. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I actually did not know that the Appalachian Trail. You know, I remember doing a lot of trips in that area, but I didn't know that that trail existed and had connected all the way up into Maine. So it's just wild, you know, to hear. But this sounds like actually a little bit more of a connection with other people. I know that on these other trails they just sort of do the same thing. You know, people help out along the way or whatever. But this one actually sounds a little bit more of a magical experience.
Yeah, like I saw people every day. Like there was probably 100 people walking a day I saw. So it's definitely like you see a lot of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Just from like watching Wild, I think it's probably maybe more different now, more popular. But like at the time, like she would go days without seeing someone.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly a different experience. And then also carrying all your weight. Like I had a hard time carrying my water in just my backpack and having something on my back. Like I had a hard time, and I still did it.
Sure.
But I could not imagine like carrying anything more. Like I would go every day in my head. I'd be like, what can I get rid of today? And I would try, like I consolidate. I'm like, I don't need conditioner. Screw it. Got rid of and it's like this little bottle, thinking that I was going to like gain like more, like lose weight.
Yeah.
No, I got rid of my deodorant. I got rid of, you know, anything I could. And it didn't matter. It still was heavy. I think I got rid of a whole outfit. I'm like, well, I'm only wearing two. I have 2 shirts, 2 pairs of underwear, 2 socks. That's it. Like we hand washed our clothes every day.
Wow.
Took a shower, and ate and went to bed every single day. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more probably diverse. I would assume. I don't know how it is on the trails here, but I don't know if a lot of foreigners come here to do them. I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's very diverse in as far as you know where you're from.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was like the whole like having hostels and stuff was really nice to have somewhere to sleep. And
yeah, that is actually the hard part, I think, out of those 2 trails here in the U.S. is they're very different location wise and what you see as far as landscape, but yeah, you're always setting up a place to stay and figuring out what to eat and carrying all that stuff like you said.
Yeah, you gotta probably get drops or something, like people mail you stuff, and you know, so you can make it, you know, replenish your stuff, which would be cool in itself to plan all that. It might be fun, you know, whole just different experience and ball game. Like I feel like you're really up in the level, you know.
Yeah. pretty committed, especially if you stay on the trail and don't bail.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely an adventure.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I can't remember. Oh, have you heard of what's it called? If it's the Lake Superior Trail or what's the one that goes through Michigan? It might be Lake Superior or North Country Trail.
You know what? I'm not that familiar with it. I if it's the same thing, I know that there's some biking that people do a lot of, but I don't know if people hike with that bike trail. And I've lost the name of that one too. I don't remember right offhand.
Yeah, so there's a trail that goes all the way through, like I'm not sure where it starts, but it starts pretty down south and it ends in Michigan. I think it ends in Michigan, or maybe
Really?
it goes along the coast a little. But that's something to think about. I don't know how people would do it with like the seasons and all that. It gets pretty cold, but a lot of people do portions and they'll do like a week and then like continue the week, do the weeks in progress, like the whole trail.
I'm looking to see if I can look it up.
Oh, okay. I think it's called North Country Trail. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So you're right. Yeah, it goes all the way through the UP. It can start in looks like southern part of the state of Michigan, maybe even in Ohio, and connects all the way through into Lake Superior.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like it connects all the way around as well, going into the southern part of Ohio through Pennsylvania, New
Mm-hmm.
York, and what's this last one? Vermont.
Yeah, probably.
It
I'm
looks
not.
it looks like a giant
I know it's
circle.
long. It's like a big hike.
Yeah, this is a big one. Yeah, and then it goes through Minnesota, or when you go through the UP in Lake Superior, Wisconsin, Minnesota, into North Dakota.
Yeah. So yeah, Maine or Vermont to North Dakota.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. The Lake Superior part would be awesome along that whole way.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cool stuff up there.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Have you done Pictured Rocks? Seen that?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
um,
yeah. We just took a trip to the Porcupine Mountains last summer and backpacked in there. Not super long, just 2 days, and it's so awesome. It's it's really cool to sleep that close to Lake Superior, and you could hike in there for a while. It's
yeah.
really pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty up there. That's uh we kayaked the Pictured Rocks. So being close to them, away from the boat. The boats are a little farther away, but you got to watch out for the waves from the boats. How they bounce
Oh,
they bounce off the rock and come right back at you.
oh yeah, the like the commercial boats
Yeah,
or
the
yeah,
big tour boats that come through. And,
yeah.
and then the weather can change, at any moment. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
it's
wild up
hard
there.
sometimes when the wind is coming up and you got to paddle back. That's not an easy paddle. We did
No.
that too, and I don't know, it was like 10 miles total or something. Like it was
Yeah, it
crazy.
was a lot. It was a lot. And actually we did to pregame a little bit. We stayed in Empire off of Lake Michigan at the Sleeping
Hmm.
Bear Dunes. Well, the beach at
Hmm.
Empire, we were staying there hanging out, and we had the kayaks and we were playing around, and we thought, why don't we try to paddle over to the foot of the Sleeping Bear Dunes? And this was a while ago, because right now the water is super high where those beaches are even getting eroded away.
Hmm.
But at that time, the shore, actually the water was pretty low. So there was all this space at the foot of the Sleeping Bear Dunes. So we thought, well, we'll kayak over there. I had no idea, actually, how long it was going to take. It was a total of 8 hours.
Oh my God.
Cause it was 4 hours there. And if I remember right, it was shorter on the way back because of the wind. I think we had the wind coming at us when we were paddling there, and then it was at our back, and we literally got there like right at sunset. Like we stopped at the foot of the dunes and had like a snack. We had water and some snacks and stuff like that, and hung out for taking pictures and everything. Turned right back around, and it was right at sunset.
Wow, that's can be scary.
And you would
but
think it's just
lucky
right there.
the wind didn't pick up like big time, and it was on your side on the way home.
Yes, I know. And I mean, yeah, I have a few stories about Lake Michigan, but
the lakes are no joke. Like,
I know.
Yeah, we've done some kayaking, and we're like, oh my God, like the wind just changes sometimes, and if you have to paddle against the wind, oh, it's not easy.
It's not. And it can change. It can change just like that, snap of the finger. Now, if you're going against it and you're trying to get back, that's, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's some experienced paddle stuff right there.
Yeah, I've always wanted to kind of get into like camping and kayaking because there's a lot of areas where you could, in Canada and even in the UP, I think it was in Canada, where you can like kayak and island hop kind of. We're not like experienced kayakers and we don't have any, but like something I always wanted to do and get into. You can camp at these places, and I'm into remote things. Like I will not I'm like I don't want to go to a family campground. So the less people, the better. But yeah, there's some cool areas where you could do that, and kayaking is a way to like get away from like what the crowd is doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then if you just pack up all your gear in the boat, then it's like it's not on your back, trying to hike.
Oh yeah, there you go. Why hike when you can kayak? If you want to check us out, you can go to BomDia Threads, BomDia Threads.com. And just a really quick backstory on our name. BomDia means good morning, and also a feeling, like a slang word for excitement and feeling of stoke. So it's Portuguese for good morning. So Dustin spent some time surfing in Portugal, and just picked up that word, and he used to say that a lot to me, Bom Dia, like in the morning instead of saying good morning. So
cool.
Yeah, I think it's has a really cool meaning behind it. That's what we're all about. It's like just spreading the stoke, having fun, just being outdoors, all of that. So you can follow us on Instagram at BomDiaThreads.com, and on YouTube we share some videos, and we're going to get more into like sharing the behind the scenes of like building our brand, and then like some of our adventures too. So yeah, there's a lot of ways you can check us out, and we're always open to collabs. So if anybody,
awesome.
Wants to do some type of like online collab or in person, we are always doing beach cleanup, or not always, but another thing that we try to do every year is a beach cleanup, at least one. So we like to do those if you want to host with us or whatever. So yeah, we're definitely open people and love to connect and work with other like-minded people like you. And I really appreciate you having me on here and being able to share Bom Dia with you guys. And so
good to have
hopefully,
you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think it's a good thing.
Me too. It's this is the first time I've ever done a podcast, so it's like super fun.
Yeah.
Or been interviewed. Usually I'm interviewing people, and so it's really fun being on the other side, and I'm happy for you too as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you so much. And you can find me at Whimseeker on on Instagram too.
Perfect.
So
yeah, you got some cool stuff going on.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, you look.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, you look great. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Cool. Thanks, Lindsey, so much for sharing your stories. It was so appreciated. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Please give a like, a rate, and review for the podcast. Hit subscribe. Don't forget, hit subscribe. You'll stay updated. There's much more show coming up, more guests coming through. And I hope you guys are feeling inspired. And thanks again.